Guys, the podcast is revived. She is back. She took a little nap. She took a little hot 5 minutes just to rest, recuperate, and she's back. She's rebranded, and I'm fucking ready and I'm fucking excited. And I feel like I have so much to say. Like, this is months and months of yapping that I haven't been able to share on this platform. So I feel like I have so much to say right now. But I firstly just want to take a moment to actually just like tap in together, tap into our breaths and just like really ground before I start expressing myself. So let's just start by closing our eyes and just doing a quick full body scan. So just from head to toe, tapping into each part of your body, just noticing any places of tension, noticing any places of relaxation. Releasing any judgment, releasing any criticism that may come with that. Really observing from a place of neutrality. Feel that energy, feel the life force that is literally vibrating throughout your whole being right now. And let's just take 3 deep breaths together. So inhaling through your nose. Exhaling through your mouth. Just let out like any sounds that you need to let out, any sighs, any body shakes, like just release it all. Okay, cool. I hope that grounded everyone. It definitely grounded me a little bit more. But yeah, we are back and we're rebranded. And the reason why I took time off the podcast is I was just essentially burnt out, guys. Like, girly was burnt out. Like, last summer, I literally started my holistic life coaching qualification. I began a mentorship. I started a podcast. I started posting on social media. I was working 40 hours in another job. Like, it was crazy. And I was like, you know what? I actually don't have like the resources or the capacity right now to be consistent with this. So she just had to take a little rest. She had to take a little nap. And I really feel in a place now where like my creative energy is alive again. I feel very in touch with my flow and my creative energy, and I feel a lot more grounded. So I really feel like that is the space where that's kind of like the energy that I can really podcast from, because podcasting is definitely like a creative energy, and I think I was so in my like hyper masculine energy, it was just kind of like blocking my creative flow. So I'm back and it's been a crazy couple months. I think the last time I released a podcast was in November, and honestly I have just been moving and growing and going through so many changes and so many transformations, like starting my own business, stepping into entrepreneurship, starting coaching. Like, all of these different changes in my life have come with so many blessings, but they've also of course come with so many challenges and so many fears and limiting beliefs and shadows that I needed to face within myself. So that has kind of what has been this winter period for me now, and I really feel like now we're stepping into spring. I genuinely feel myself blossoming again, and I genuinely feel myself stepping into this like energy of like deep self-love and deep self-trust. Like, I feel like I have become so aware of the beliefs and the habits and the behaviors and the patterns that were holding me back, and now I can literally, like, as soon as I will have like a limiting belief or as soon as a limiting behavior or habit starts showing up for me, I notice it straight away, and I'm able to come back to love. I'm able to come back to myself. I'm able to understand it. Okay, what do I actually need in this moment? Because the thing that's triggering me, the behavior that I want to do, is not what I actually need. There is a need, there is a desire underneath this behavior, underneath this trigger. And for me, it's just been really about coming back to that and being like, what is this trigger actually trying to teach me right now? What is this trigger actually trying to tell me? Does this trigger need to be held with love? Does this trigger just need space? Does this trigger just need the space to cry, to feel, to be angry? Like, what do I need right now? And that's just what I have been moving through. So yeah, And also going on from that, I just decided to rebrand the podcast. So before, she was called Diary of a Wellness Girly, and like, don't get me wrong guys, I am a wellness girly through and through, but you know, I post my workouts, but I wouldn't say I really talk about like nutrition and fitness that much. I don't know, like it's something that I've literally been doing for so long. Since I was literally like 15 years old, I've been into fitness and nutrition. It's just like kind of like a given for me, so it's not something that I really talk about much. And I really wanted to move the podcast more over to like the goddess mindset, the goddess energy, like really empowering women and teaching women how to embody their very own goddess mindset so they can walk this earth, they can lead in their lives with such a sense of empowerment, with such strong boundaries, such firm values, and just like authentic, confident self-expression. So that is why I have changed the name of the podcast, and the nature of the podcast is also going to change as well. So this episode is just like an introductory type of like, hey, I'm alive, I'm back, she's well, but following forward there's going to be a lot more podcasts and episodes which really dive deep into mindset work, subconscious reprogramming, relationship to self, relationship to others, setting boundaries, being confident, standing firm in your values, taking risks, like all of these themes and these lessons and these topics that really help you embody your higher self, that help you embody your goddess self. So that is where the podcast is going. That is the direction I have for her. Schedule wise, I think just once a month is what I'm going to start with, and just see how that feels for me. So yeah, that's what is happening with the podcast. And the topic that I wanted to discuss today was actually to do with relationships. So relationships for me have been one of the biggest catalysts and triggers to my own personal development and growth, if even I would say the biggest. And I have experienced a lot of toxic relationships. So I'm 23, and from the age of like 16 through to like 22, I had so many toxic relationships. Some of these relationships even turned like physically, like verbally abusive as well, because they were just so toxic and unhealthy, and I really didn't know how to leave those situations. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that today, and touch on like what I've really learned through my relationships, and I'm sure I'll touch on it again, and I will do another podcast episode on it as well. But what I have really learned from relationships is that everything is truly a mirror. Like every single thing is a mirror. And when you are in an unhealthy relationship, when someone isn't meeting your needs, when someone is taking advantage of you, when someone is expecting too much of you, when you're arguing, you're fighting, someone doesn't respect you, like every single one of those circumstances, every single one of those situations is a mirror, okay? And when we are in a relationship, when we have been in a toxic relationship, it is so easy to blame that other person. It is so easy to victimize yourself and villainize the other person. And the thing is that you truly liberate yourself from toxic relationships, from unhealthy patterns, when you take the self-responsibility, when you understand that you tolerated this behavior, you attracted this relationship, you attracted this dynamic because some part of you, whether on a conscious or subconscious level, believed you deserved it. Okay, and some people won't like that. Some people will say, no, you're not like holding the other person to account, da 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 da. But the thing is that you came down on this earth to grow as an individual. You did not come down onto this earth to manage other people's growth and to judge other people's growth. You came here to manage your own growth. You can't control what other people do. You cannot. So why sit there and victimize yourself and say, this person did this person did that, I'm so resentful, this person's such a bad person. That person's journey is actually none of your business. You're not with them anymore. The relationship has ended. The toxic behaviors, the toxic habit and cycle has ended with them. It's none of their business. So all you are doing by victimizing yourself is you are holding onto that story. You are holding onto those toxic beliefs. You are holding onto those toxic habits and behaviors, which are just not serving you in any sense. And how you truly empower yourself and liberate yourself from these toxic and painful relationships you've had is you take self-responsibility and you take accountability, and you actually look at yourself and you say, okay, I actually did ignore around 1,500 red flags. Actually, maybe a part of me likes this push and pull chase dynamic because it reminds me of something from my childhood. It reminds me of how my dad didn't give me the love I needed, or my mum was inconsistent with the love she showed me. Like, come back to yourself, because that is how you truly empower yourself. And this is something that it took me quite a long time to learn. And This is the thing, like, for so long in relationships, I avoided all accountability. Like, I literally avoided all accountability, and I would always blame the other person. Like, I would be in all of these toxic cycles, all of these toxic relationships, and if we ever had an argument, if anything ever come up, I'd be like, yeah, but you did this, but you did this, but you did this. And even after the relationship, I would not take accountability and think, actually, I have attracted this relationship into my life for a reason, because I actually have elements of me that are toxic. And this is another point I want to touch on as well, is that I feel like people don't just openly say, you know what, like, I have actually been a toxic person in relationships, when like a lot of us have. And, you know, I don't feel any shame to literally sit here and say, like, I have been toxic in relationships. Like, I have been toxic, I have not been a good partner. That is okay. Like, I have forgiven myself for that. I have sent love to the other person. I've sent love to them for the hurt that I have caused them, and I'm okay with sitting here and saying, like, I have been a toxic individual. Like, that is okay. You don't need to feel shame, okay? You don't need to feel shame. Like, you genuinely did not know any better, and now that you have the self-awareness that you were being toxic, you can forgive yourself, and you can also send that other person love. You can also send that other person forgiveness and compassion. So I think that's also a really important thing I wanted to touch on. Like, don't feel shame for the way that you may have behaved and the way that you may have acted. All you can do is acknowledge that, you can learn from that, and you can forgive yourself, and you can move through that with grace. So I think that's really, really important to consider. And another thing as well is that sometimes we don't take self-responsibility because of what other people are telling us in our lives as well, right? So say you're surrounded by all of your friends and they know like half of the story, and you've only come to them when like you're really pissed off and you're really angry at your partner, and then you guys break up, or you guys are like on the edge of breaking up, and your friends drill into your brain like, you haven't done anything wrong, like she's this, he's this, da 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 da. Okay, so that can also be a factor that can really inhibit someone from taking self-responsibility. And it's really important to understand that you are the only person that was actually experiencing that relationship with that person, and it's really important that you self-reflect and that you're able to sit back and actually be like, you know what, like, maybe I went to my friends, I went to my family out of anger in that moment, but they don't actually know the full story. And this is really funny because this has happened to me before, where like my friends have literally been like to me like, no, it wasn't your fault, no, she was worse, da 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 da, like she did this, she did that. And at the end of the day, I attracted that relationship, and I was toxic as fuck. Like, I was literally toxic as fuck. But obviously your friends love you, your friends see you in a different light than what a partner would see you in. So I've even had it when people have literally said to me like, no, like you're not in the wrong here, you haven't done anything wrong. And I'm like, well, if that was true, if I was literally like an innocent bystander in this experience, then like, why did I attract it? Why did I experience it? Why did I tolerate it? Like, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that at all. So yeah, I guess what I'm just trying to say is like, it's really important in relationships to take self-responsibility for the part that you have played. And as soon as you take that self-responsibility, you liberate yourself. You liberate yourself because you are no longer the victim. You are no longer the poor innocent victim that's been so hurt and so played and been cheated on and da 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 da. You are now the empowered creator of your reality, and you can look at that relationship, you can look at that experience, and you can say, you know what, that fucking hurt and that caused me so much pain, but the reason why it did is because it was put in my life to help me grow. It was put in my life to help me evolve, to help me liberate myself from past experiences, from past beliefs. It was there to mirror a subconscious belief I had in my brain from my childhood, from whatever past experience, that I was not worthy of healthy love, okay? And that is how you begin empowering yourself from past relationships, empowering yourself from painful experiences you have had. And what you can do after you begin taking self-responsibility is you practice forgiveness, okay? And this is the thing, like, people just like, just forgive, just let go. But like, letting go and practicing forgiveness is a practice. Like, it is a literal practice. It's not just easy as being like, okay, I'm just going to forgive you now. Okay, I'm just going to surrender. Like, no, you have to practice forgiveness. Like, it is an act that you have to consciously practice every single day. So if you literally need to sit with this experience, sit with this relationship, sit with this person, and literally say to yourself over and over again, I forgive them. I forgive you, I forgive them, and I send them love. And you can continue doing that and doing that until you actually begin to feel it in your body, okay? So that's also a really important part, is just learning to forgive people. Like, you really have to learn to forgive people, because when you are holding on to resentment, when you are victimizing yourself, when you are not taking responsibility for the experiences you've had, you are actually causing yourself harm. That other person isn't suffering because you're holding on to this resentment and you're thinking about them and you're thinking about how angry you are that they hurt you, and you're holding on to it and you're thinking about it all the time, and you can physically feel it in your heart and you can physically feel it in your body. That is not causing the other person suffering. That is causing you suffering, okay? You are causing that suffering for yourself. So even if you can't forgive this other person solely because you want to forgive them, you can forgive that other person because you want to liberate yourself and you want to free yourself of that pain and of that suffering. So learn to forgive, learn to let go, and learn to understand that that person came into your life as a mirror, and that is actually a very honorable thing that they did. Yes, they hurt you, but you would not grow in this human experience. You would not fulfill your soul's purpose unless you are exposed to pain, unless you are exposed to suffering. So this is the thing, like, people come into our lives and they cause us loads of pain and they cause us loads of suffering. And those are the experiences and the relationships that we have the least gratitude for, that we have the least appreciation for, that we have anger and resentment and sadness for. And it's just like, what that person has done is incredibly honorable. Like, if you can actually let your ego go, you can let your ego go of this victim mindset of I've been hurt and I've been wronged, and you can actually tap into your soul and tap into your higher self, you will see that what that person has done is honorable. What that person has done is actually incredibly beautiful, because they have come into your life, they have caused you pain, they have caused you suffering, and they have acted as a mirror to reflect to you your deepest wounds, your deepest shadows, the parts of you that you need to go back to and you need to show love and you need to honor and you need to hold. Okay? So I know it sounds crazy, guys, but it's the truth, and it will liberate you. It will truly wholeheartedly liberate you if you can do that. And, you know, like, I'm at a point now with my past relationships where it's like, I am so grateful for the toxic relationships that I have had. And yes, I'm grateful for the healthy relationships I've had, but I am so immensely grateful for those toxic relationships, because they showed me parts of myself that I was literally not aware of. Like, I had no awareness of them. I was blind. Which is literally crazy, because I know that's like the journey that we're on, but sometimes I look back and I'm like, damn girl, like, you were really unaware, like, you were really lacking the self-awareness. Like, honestly, sometimes we just lack the self-awareness, and we should be grateful when someone brings that to us. We don't need to be defensive, we don't need to be like, but you did this, but you did that. Like, literally just be like, you know what, I was unaware of this, thank you for bringing that to me, like, thank you for showing me. So yeah, I think that's kind of everything I wanted to touch on today. It was a bit of like a flowy conversation. Like, I didn't actually kind of mean to go down this route necessarily. Like, I was going to speak more on like my own personal experience with relationships, but honestly, guys, that would be like a 2-hour podcast. So I think I'm definitely going to do that in the future, like, literally sit down and do like a timeline of all of the relationships I've been through, and just really go through with you guys like what I've truly learned from each of those relationships. Because, you know, I have a Libra Venus and I have a Libra Mercury. Like, love is such a big topic in my life. Like, it has always been a big topic in my life, and it's where I've learned my like deepest lessons and my I've had my deepest transformations. So yeah, I think that's everything that I kind of have to say today, but I'm really excited to literally just be back on the podcast with you guys and to just kind of be like sharing my heart and sharing my truth, and obviously I'm doing it with a video now as well, which is so cool, because this also means that I can like post it on my socials. I can post it on Instagram, TikTok, all of the above. So I will obviously link my Instagram, my TikTok, my socials all below if anyone wants to connect with me and they don't already follow me on there. But I just wanted to send everyone love, and I just wanted to remind you, like, take self-responsibility, empower yourself, choose your highest path, and all will be swell. Okay, bye.